The movie starts with a group of college friends: Paxton, Haley, Grant, Lucas, Paige, Elsie, and Madeline, going on a trip together. Paxton is excited about the trip and shares his enthusiasm with the group. Haley shifts the focus to celebrating Elsie's birthday. They decide to play a game. Paige jokes about who will get married first, then everyone points to Haley and Grant, who seem surprised and feel awkward. Grant leaves to get a beer, and Paxton follows him inside their rented house. Grant then reveals to Paxton that he and Haley have broken up. Meanwhile, Haley shares her side of the breakup story with the others, explaining their differences in ambition and romance. Paxton tries to lighten the mood by suggesting they start a pottery business or a bookstore. However, when Grant looks for beer, he finds they're out of stock, disappointing everyone. Paxton suggests searching the house for hidden booze. The friends search the place but find nothing until Lucas discovers a basement door with a warning to stay away. Ignoring the sign, they break in and find ancient astrological items. Paxton finds a tarot box and suggests using the cards for fun. Elsie asks Haley to combine tarot readings with horoscopes, but Madeline warns them about her grandmother's belief that the combination is evil. Dismissing her concerns, Haley explains that combining tarot and horoscopes could be a powerful tool for forecasting. Haley surprises everyone with her knowledge of the tarot horoscope combination. When asked how she knows this, she jokes, "I think I taught it to myself." As she opens the tarot box, the lights flicker ominously. Haley senses danger and hesitates, but Elsie insists she continue for her birthday. Haley starts the readings with Elsie, a Libra. She outlines Elsie's star characteristics, predicting a path to success but also cautioning her to be careful. Elsie's central card, the High Priestess, suggests potential harm, but Elsie focuses only on the success. Next, Madeline, a Pisces, volunteers. Haley describes her traits and warns about the Hanged Man card, indicating potential trouble with technology. She advises Madeline, who tends to flee when scared, to stand her ground. When it's Paxton's turn, he excuses himself to the bathroom. Paige steps up next, but as Haley begins her reading, the scene shifts to Paxton. He is distracted by a mysterious figure outside on his way to the bathroom, but finds nothing when the lights come on. Back at Paige's reading, Haley discusses Virgo traits and the central card, the Magician, warning of deceptive tricks that may cloud her vision. Suddenly, Paxton returns, and it's his turn. Embarrassed about forgetting Haley's birthday, he listens as she advises him to avoid stubbornness, stay close to trusted friends, and not to panic when feeling trapped. She hints he might surprise his friends by appearing unexpectedly. Next up is Lucas. Haley reads his horoscope, predicting love in the air and a change in his financial situation. However, she cautions him about his central card, Mermaid, whose lamp could lead him astray. Reluctantly, Grant steps forward. Haley points out the relationship difficulties he's causing, which enrages him. He accuses her of fabricating the reading and tries to leave, but she warns him about facing his demons and risking a loved one's life. Finally, Haley reads her own horoscope, discovering that love will be the death of her. The next morning, as the group prepares to leave, Haley replaces Grant's picture on her phone wallpaper with her own, feeling sad. Meanwhile, Grant joins Paxton, who is engrossed in his favorite crime podcast, much to his friend's annoyance. Despite this, Paxton remains hopeful for a new episode. Then, Lucas surprises them with news of his $700 lottery win. In the evening, the girls drop Elsie off at her stop. While taking a bath and chatting with Paige about their trip, Elsie hears a noise. Curious, she investigates and finds a ladder hanging down from the attic. Puzzled, she puts it back. Later, while discussing Haley and Grant's breakup with Paige, she hears a loud noise and discovers the ladder down again. Hoping to find her roommate Claire in the attic, Elsie investigates further but finds it empty. As she climbs down, the lights flicker, creating an eerie atmosphere. Returning to the attic, she's startled by candles surrounding her and the sudden appearance of the High Priestess. Panicking, Elsie falls in her attempt to escape, and the High Priestess fatally kills her using the ladder. Paige is devastated by Elsie's death, and Haley decides to stay with her for support. Before leaving, Grant asks Haley to promise to call him if she needs anything. Meanwhile, Lucas escorts Madeline home, reassuring her to reach out anytime. They hug goodbye, unaware that the hermit from Lucas's tarot reading is watching him. Later, Paige wakes from a nightmare about Elsie and blames herself for her friend's death. Haley comforts her, explaining that some things are inevitable. Haley opens up about her past, growing up in Minnesota with her mother who battled cancer unsuccessfully. Tarot readings always predicted her mother's death, teaching Haley that fate cannot be changed. At the subway station, Lucas spots the hermit with her lamp. Feeling threatened, he tries to escape and ends up in a restricted area. There, he comes across a newspaper predicting his death that day. Panicking, he hears Haley's voice from his reading and hides in a nearby bus. However, the hermit finds him, and in his attempt to flee, she uses her lamp to lead him to a brutal death. Grant and Haley sit together, grappling with Elsie's death. Grant comforts Haley before leaving to study for a test. He pauses after receiving a text message, visibly stunned. Meanwhile, the remaining friends are questioned by two officers who suggest they go home. Paige suggests they stay together for safety, and Madeline agrees. However, influenced by his crime podcast, Paxton suggests the killer might be one of them, pointing out that most murders are committed by someone known to the victim. Grant finds Paxton's theory plausible, but Madeline considers it coincidental. Haley, believing in fate, mentions Lucas's death happened exactly as predicted by his readings. Grant remains skeptical, but Paxton recalls Haley's prediction about Lucas's improved finances, which came true when he won the lottery just before his death. Despite Grant's doubts, Haley and her friends search online for answers, discovering several articles by an astrologer named Alma. Grant mentions that Alma has been discredited and mocked in the astrology community, but Haley finds her address and they decide to visit her. Arriving at Alma's secluded forest home, they initially regret their decision when Alma doesn't respond to their calls. Paige gets frightened by something near a window, but eventually, Alma answers the door. Reluctant at first, Alma listens when Haley explains that they feel death is pursuing them. Inside, Alma reveals that similar incidents have occurred before, starting with 6 deaths in Mexico in 1951, followed by 8 deaths at Woodstock. The common factor was that these people were doing horoscope readings before they died. Alma then recounts a 1988 incident where a group of friends on a weekend trip ended with only one survivor. When asked how she knows all this, Alma discloses that she is the sole survivor of that 1988 incident. She reveals that she discovered the cursed tarot deck too late. About 15 years ago, Alma traced the cursed tarot deck to an antique merchant but lost track of it. When Grant doubts her, Alma insists that combining tarot and horoscope is the deadliest form of divination. She cryptically says she knew it, prompting Haley to inquire about who she refers to. Alma recounts a tale from 1798 about a count and his peasant astrologer. The count asked the astrologer to read for his pregnant wife and unborn child, but the readings predicted their deaths during childbirth. Despite the count's demands for a different outcome, the predictions came true. Enraged villagers accused the astrologer of witchcraft and attacked her home, resulting in the death of her daughter. In her fury, the astrologer performed a ritual binding her soul to the tarot deck, cursing anyone who used it. Alma reveals that the cursed deck is in the house the friends rented a few days earlier and urges them to destroy it. As they leave, Grant remains skeptical. Suddenly, their car mysteriously stops. Concerned about who might be next, Madeline recalls her horoscope predicting technology failures. She panics upon seeing the hangman card on the window and runs away despite their attempts to stop her. Haley rushes to help, while Grant and the others remain in the car as a mysterious creature begins circling them. The creature follows Madeline, and before Grant can intervene, it brutally kills her before their eyes. Haley is devastated, but Grant tries to comfort her. They leave the bridge arguing about what to do next. Haley suggests returning to the house to destroy the deck, while Paxton, disbelieving in the card's power, insists on going to his room. Despite Haley's warnings and reminders of Madeline's fate, Paxton refuses to listen and leaves. Haley, Grant, and Paige head back to the house and rent it again. Meanwhile, Paxton encounters a strange joker performing silly tricks. Realizing his mistake, he tries to escape and hides in an elevator. The elevator stops, and the joker tears through the roof, attacking Paxton. Back at the house, Haley, Grant, and Paige find the cursed deck and try to burn it, but the cards remain undamaged. Sensing trouble, they call for Alma, who reveals she has been preparing for this moment. Alma tries to communicate with the cursed astrologer using the deck. The astrologer appears and begins reading Alma's horoscope, causing her to bleed from the nose. Alma apologizes to Haley before the astrologer forcefully pulls her away. Terrified, Haley and her friends flee, only to discover Alma's lifeless body during their escape. As they run, Paige gets separated from Grant and Haley. She enters a room where a light bulb explodes, injuring her eye. Disoriented, she encounters the magician from her tarot reading. Paige tries to flee but is ensnared by the magician's chains. She desperately hides in a box, but the magician finds her. The magician terrifies Paige with his saw trick, and she evades his attacks as best she can. He traps her in a tightening box, ultimately dismembering her body. Hearing Paige's screams, Haley and Grant are horrified. Grant comforts Haley, acknowledging their doomed relationship since their first reading together. Haley believes they may have been cursed from the start. This realization strikes Haley deeply, and she resolves to reverse the curse by reading the astrologer's cards. Despite Grant's protests, she insists on trying. Grant understands her stubbornness, but suddenly a monstrous entity grabs him and drags him away. Alone and terrified, Haley faces death in the form of this monster. She tries to evade its attacks and hide, but it corners her. Just as the monster is about to strike, Grant intervenes, saving her life. Haley seizes the moment and rushes to the cards while Grant fights the monster. The creature knocks Grant unconscious and drags him toward the fire. Haley begins reading the cards, provoking the astrologer. Haley acknowledges the astrologer's pain and urges her to let go of the past. Enraged, the astrologer tries to kill Haley, but Haley declares that death is inevitable and represents a new beginning. Then, the signs in the circle light up. Desperate, the astrologer clings to Haley, attempting to take her life along with her own. Just in time, Grant arrives and saves Haley, and together they witness the astrologer vaporize into nothingness. They start walking away, feeling relieved yet cautious, when they spot a car approaching. Grant briefly panics, remembering his predicted fate, but his anxiety gives way to happiness as Paxton steps out of the car. The friends are overjoyed to reunite, though Paxton is saddened to hear about Paige's fate. As they drive back to town, Haley and Grant explain how they managed to reverse the curse on the astrologer. Paxton remains skeptical about whether the curse is truly over, but Grant and Haley reassure him. In a post-credits scene, Haley and Grant ask Paxton how he survived. He proudly explains that he outfooled the fool, revealing that his roommate Pod's timely arrival saved his life. And there the movie ends.